Can you believe he actually left her for someone he called better? Someone he thought could give more than she ever did? The words hung in the room like poison, David's voice trembling with both rage and disbelief. Emma stood frozen, hand over her mouth, eyes wide with a shock that she could hardly breathe. "I thought he was different," she whispered, tears prickling her lashes. "All those years we planned, we built, and he just threw it all away for her." The question was not supposed to be answered. It was a hook, a provocation, and a call for justice, even if just in the minds of those who were listening. The city of Lagos bustled beyond the window, but inside Emma's apartment, the world had narrowed to abrupt endings and broken dreams. Her ex-husband, Michael, had chosen the Mistress Olivia from the neighboring district. Beautiful, sly, and carefully hidden ambitions. But what he could not see would not forever remain hidden. Emma had learned quiet strength in the months following their divorce. Learned to keep her plans buried under calm faces, smiled during coffee dates and board meetings. She had nothing left to say in the open, but everything to act in secret. The shock and betrayal burned like fire, forcing her into a quiet rage fueled by humiliation and resilience. "I will show him," Emma whispered to the empty apartment, "the price of pride and betrayal." The hook was set. Who would win in this game of love, greed, and karma? Emma's story would not just be memory. It would be bloodless revenge, perfectly hidden, meticulously planned, and silent. Michael believed he was untouchable, that Emma's heart was shattered and her life forever diminished. What he could not see was that her grief had grown into strength and her pain into intelligence. Her hands may have trembled in those first weeks after the divorce, but her mind worked fast, plotting strategies, navigating contacts, analyzing business deals and financial patterns. She was no ordinary woman. She was an architect of revenge in waiting. Outside, the world went on. People strolled through a Kia mall. Vehicles horned in the traffic, and news anchors spoke of politics and economics. But none of these knew the small wars being waged within Lagos apartments and boardrooms. Emma kept contacts with her old network of investors, lawyers, and colleagues, slowly weaving plans and placing herself in positions that would allow her future control without apparent force. The reminiscent memories of marriage were bittersweet, sometimes echoing like ghosts in the penthouse where Michael and Olivia lived. Emma remembered the promises, the warm laughs, the plans for Sunday morning walks, and the dreams of childhood homes. They all had vanished in the wind. But pain had not yet become power. Her shadow. Only deep, careful calculations. The first step was financial. Small moves, invisible yet powerful. Placements and transfers that would one future day ensure Michael was unaware how close he sat to her control. She had access to her old business connections, people who were faithful to both her and the rules of business integrity. They would help her move mountains without a whisper. And yet, even as Emma planned, she knew the story would need high human emotions. Dramatic conflicts, characters with depth, and an ending that would leave the world breathless. Her friend David became the confidant, sharing his opinions, calculating risks, and sometimes reminding her of the human aspect of revenge, that it was not just business, but personal, and the world would judge her actions. She met Olivia at the annual charity event without obvious hostility, smiled politely, shook hands, all while her mind sketched the next moves, the webs of power, and hidden revenge. Emma's every step was calculated, silently ensuring that Michael believed he was winning, while secretly the chessboard was hers. She reviewed her investments, checking property records, bank shares, and legal documents, placing herself in positions where the smallest errors by Michael could be exploited. She watched Olivia closely, observing habits, preferences, and financial naivety. Each mistress move was an opportunity. Emma's quiet revenge was not public. It was artful, surgical, and impossible to anticipate. This segment of life was not about anger, not about yelling, nor public humiliation. It was about calculated power, emotionally charged, yet invisible, building toward a silent finale punch. Through the Lagos nights, she walked alone, thinking of the future, planning strategies, and writing mental notes on who would be trusted and who would betray. As daylight broke, Emma smiled quietly, knowing that this game was just beginning, and that karma, even silent, was already moving in the background. She would wait, she would calculate, and when the storm finally came, Michael and Olivia would see what quiet revenge truly meant. Emma's days blurred into a quiet, calculated routine. She woke early, before the city stirred, brewing strong coffee, while plans and figures rolled through her mind. Lagos was alive outside, with bustling markets, horns of trucks, and people moving from one commitment to another, but inside her apartment a very different kind of battle was being waged. As a former businesswoman turned strategist, Emma carefully tracked Michael's every move, each meeting with Olivia, each investment he claimed as new. But Michael was careless, hidden secrets left open like windows into future storms. Every text Emma intercepted, every small financial transfer she traced, was a detail in the puzzle, silently building toward the moment where karma would strike sharply. A friend, Clara, arrived one afternoon, her expression curious but cautious. "Emma," she said, setting down a basket of fresh fruit, "I can't believe you're doing all this alone. Is it really worth it?" Emma looked up, eyes steady, smiling faintly. "Worth it? Someday, he will understand, Clara. He will feel the pride diluted in a shame he cannot escape. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the justice he thinks he has escaped." Clara shook her head, but Emma was already thinking ahead, checking accounts, placing silent contacts at banks, reviewing old contracts left forgotten in the hurry of the past. Olivia appeared more frequent in the public eye, posting photos at parties, brand launches, careless laughing, completely unaware that the woman she belittled had already outmaneuvered her on quiet grounds. One evening, Emma attended a brief gallery opening, her presence unassuming, observing the crowd, noting business associates of Michael and Olivia, slowly mapping alliances and weak points. As photos were posted on Instagram, Emma carefully noted connections, strategies, how each person could play into her plans. This was not just revenge. This was control, subtle, and impossible to guess from the outside. Yet even as her plans unfolded, Emma allowed herself memories of the past to creep in sometimes. Ghosts of what they had been, smiles shared, late-night talks on the balcony. She clutched a thought, reminding herself that pain was fuel, not an excuse for the past to haunt her. She was here, and now was every moment to sharpen her edge. Michael continued with his careless living, throwing extravagant parties, showing off new cars and clothes, all while believing Emma was far away, harmless, broken. He did not see the small moves, silent transfers, and carefully placed contacts watching from the shadows. Every week she met David for updates and strategies, sharing encrypted notes, analyzing his reports, and planning the moment where every thread would pull together. "She's growing impatient," David remarked one evening, leaning over the coffee table. "Patience is the greatest weapon." "He has no idea," Emma replied, her voice calm but heart steady with anticipation. They watched Olivia from afar, noticed her patterns of reckless generosity, her quick trust of people who might betray her with just a little push. Michael's own arrogance blinded him to the lurking storm, each decision unwittingly feeding Emma's plans. Every small contract Emma intercepted, every small business deal Michael was involved in, was recorded, checked, and manipulated through legal channels, ensuring that the future would belong to silently careful hands. Even though it was quiet, Emma's revenge was already making ripples. Bank managers noticed unusual patterns. Legal partners asked questions, while Michael continued believing his world was untouchable. One evening, Olivia slipped, posting a confidential meeting photo online. Careless and unaware it would be used against her months later. Emma's smile was quiet, but inside her mind raced. Perfect. She collected the evidence, not for public humiliation, but for silent justice. As calculated as the falling of a well-set trap, through all this, Lagos moved on, unaware of the silent wars in the background. Emma never forgot that human emotion could be used as a weapon, and she carefully balanced pain and compassion, ensuring that her revenge would not be just cold, financial. It would also provide a moral lesson. Olivia continued her careless living, inviting Michael to extravagant dinners, posting photos of luxury trips, and laughing at the world that had forgotten Emma, except Emma hadn't been forgotten. She had been watching, learning, measuring, planning. It was not public. It was not violent. It was carefully crafted karma, slow but inevitable. As weeks passed, Emma added layers, tightening control in business, financial and social arenas, ensuring that the moment Michael felt untouchable, he would actually be walking into a web of silent retribution. Every interaction was plotted, each email observed, each friend of Michael's noted. Silently, she built a highest possible advantage, carefully protecting herself from any counter-moves. And as night fell, with Lagos lights twinkling like scattered stars across the cityscape, Emma paused at her window, coffee warm in her hands, and whispered to herself, "Soon, everything will change. Soon, he will see that the past he left behind was never forgotten." Emma knew the moment had arrived. Months of careful observation, silent planning, and patient calculation had led to this single point in time. She moved through her apartment with quiet precision, eyes scanning the documents spread across the dining table. Each contract, each financial statement, each subtle leverage point was in place, ready to unfold. David arrived shortly, carrying a slim laptop and a folder of encrypted notes. "Everything is synchronized," he said, lowering his voice. "Tonight, the first domino falls." Emma nodded, her mind steady despite the storm of emotions beneath the calm exterior. She remembered every betrayal, every careless word Michael had spoken when he flaunted Olivia as though she were a prize he deserved. Yet she also remembered their past, the laughter they had shared, the plans they had made, the moments that had been stolen from her. That memory fueled her, sharpened her resolve. The streets of Lagos glowed outside the window, lights reflecting in puddles from a light drizzle earlier. Emma's phone buzzed with subtle alerts. Michael had just approved another investment, unaware that Emma's silent influence had already begun to steer it. Olivia's latest social media post flashed on the screen. A careless smile and extravagant dress, oblivious to the web closing around her and Michael. "Perfect," Emma whispered. She traced each connection again, ensuring no detail had been missed. Her revenge was not reckless. It was precise, surgical, and inevitable. That evening, Emma attended a charity gala, her presence understated, almost invisible. Michael and Olivia were there, laughing and posing for photos, unaware that Emma's network had already begun to influence key sponsors and investors in ways that would eventually shift fortunes silently. She moved through the crowd with grace, observing, noting behaviors, filing away weaknesses. Every laugh they shared, every careless word, became a piece of the puzzle. After the gala, she retreated to her car, texting David a single word: "Go." The cascade had begun. Transfers were initiated, contracts subtly restructured, and financial advantages quietly shifted in Emma's favor. Michael would not realize until much later that his empire was being redirected without his knowledge, controlled by the woman he had underestimated. Meanwhile, Emma allowed herself moments of reflection. She remembered the nights she had cried alone, the feelings of betrayal so raw they had cut through every fiber of her being. Yet she also recalled her own resilience, the way she had refused to crumble, the way she had transformed grief into a weapon of intelligence. Clara's words echoed in her mind. Is it worth it? Emma had answered them for herself 1,000 times over. This was not vengeance for vanity. It was the restoration of justice and dignity. The following morning, Emma reviewed the results. Minor shifts in Michael's investments had begun to ripple across his holdings. Olivia had made another careless error in judgment, and Emma's influence quietly leveraged it to strengthen her position. A small smile curved her lips. This was the power of patience, observation, and calculated moves. Later, Michael called, his tone casual, unaware that the woman he had betrayed was now orchestrating the unseen currents around him. "Emma," he said, "I hear you've been busy lately." She responded with warmth, hiding the storm beneath. "Yes, life keeps moving. I hope you and Olivia are well." His arrogance shielded him from suspicion, but Emma's mind raced, cataloging his every word, every pause. By nightfall, Emma had orchestrated several dominoes to fall, subtle legal maneuvers, investment shifts, and social influence. Michael's world was changing in ways he could not yet perceive. Olivia's careless overconfidence only accelerated the process. As she closed her laptop and sipped her tea, Emma allowed herself a rare exhale. This was the culmination of months of discipline, planning, and emotional fortitude. Revenge had to be silent to be perfect. No public scandal, no dramatic confrontations, just a quiet storm reshaping their lives without a whisper. She looked out the window at Lagos, city of endless energy, unaware of the quiet power quietly being wielded within its heart. Emma whispered softly, "Soon, they will understand what it means to underestimate someone who refuses to be broken." She prepared for the next stage, knowing the web was now set, and the final movements would reveal both justice and karma in ways Michael and Olivia could never anticipate. The morning sunlight filtered through Emma's apartment, casting long shadows across the documents neatly arranged on her desk. Every detail mattered. Every move she had made in the past months was coming to fruition. She sipped her coffee slowly, savoring the quiet before the storm. Michael had no idea that his empire was being subtly reshaped, his arrogance blinding him to the currents beneath. Olivia, with her careless laughter and overconfidence, continued to post selfies at luxurious brunches, unaware that each mistake was a thread being pulled tighter into Emma's intricate web. The first dominoes began to fall that day. Emma had arranged for small, seemingly innocent audits of Michael's business ventures. Nothing suspicious to the casual observer, but the ripple effects were immediate. Contracts he had assumed were secure were quietly redirected. Investments, he thought, guaranteed profits now had clauses Emma had inserted months ago. Designed to protect her position while leaving him exposed. She leaned back in her chair, letting herself smile faintly. Justice was quiet, but powerful. By midday, her phone buzzed with encrypted messages from David, first signals showing disruption. Olivia's overconfidence accelerating exposure. Emma's pulse quickened not from fear, but from the controlled thrill of knowing her plan was working. Each careless action by her ex-husband and his mistress became a lever for the inevitable reveal. She thought back to the nights spent alone, the silent tears, the heartbreak that had once consumed her. Those emotions were no longer a weakness. They were the very tools she had used to construct the precision of her revenge. As afternoon approached, Emma attended a casual meeting with a trusted lawyer, a woman she had known for years. Together, they reviewed the subtle legal maneuvers Emma had placed months prior. Contracts, silent clauses, and prearranged contingencies, all designed to ensure Michael could never reclaim control once the timing was right. Every move had been calculated, every detail anticipated. Meanwhile, Michael and Olivia continued their reckless lifestyle. Dinner parties, extravagant shopping sprees, public displays of affection, each moment of arrogance unknowingly fueled Emma's advantage. She observed them through discreet contacts, noting how Olivia dismissed advice from trusted advisors, how Michael bragged about acquisitions he did not fully understand. By early evening, Emma activated another stage of her plan, a seemingly casual email from her legal team. It's designed to appear routine, landed in Michael's inbox. He skimmed it, barely reading the fine print, confident nothing could touch him. That small oversight was another step closer to the tipping point. Emma's mind drifted briefly to Clara's cautioning words. "Be careful," Clara had said. Emma smiled softly. Careful she had been. But this was more than caution. It was the culmination of strategy, intelligence, and patience. Nothing would be rushed. Everything would unfold precisely. As night fell over Lagos, the city's lights flickering across the waterways, Emma reviewed the data again. Minor shifts in accounts, subtle redirections, early warning signs she had planted, all indicators were aligning. The storm she had built was now poised to make its presence felt, but quietly, without alarm, until the moment of revelation. She remembered the feeling of betrayal she had endured, the crushing weight of being dismissed and underestimated. Those memories no longer hurt. They energized her, guided her actions, and steeled her for the final movements. That night, Emma took one last glance at the skyline. The quiet hum of the city below, contrasting sharply with the calculated chaos she had orchestrated behind closed doors. Michael and Olivia were unaware that each day, each careless laugh, each boastful statement was being recorded, analyzed, and converted into their eventual exposure. Emma whispered to herself, "Soon they will learn the cost of underestimating someone they thought was powerless." She prepared for the next morning, knowing that the first overt consequences of her silent revenge were about to become undeniable. The first cracks in Michael's carefully curated life appeared slowly at first, subtle but undeniable. Emma had timed every move perfectly, and now the ripple effects began to disturb his world. The phone calls from advisors started with hesitant questions, financial partners asking for clarifications he had no idea how to answer. Olivia, oblivious as always, laughed at every minor inconvenience, believing they were trivial. But Emma had already laid the groundwork months ago. Every contract he signed, every investment he celebrated, now carried hidden contingencies, legal protections that shifted control without him noticing. Emma watched the signs from her apartment, the city's lights sparkling below, as if mocking the arrogance she had quietly dismantled. Her heart remained steady, but her pulse carried the subtle thrill of justice unfolding. David's encrypted messages arrived steadily, detailing every misstep Olivia made, every overreach Michael attempted. "They are feeling it," he typed. Emma smiled faintly. She allowed herself a quiet reflection, remembering the betrayal, the nights of tears, the whispered promises broken. But now, those moments had been transformed into power. She had turned pain into strategy, heartbreak into a meticulous plan that would leave Michael and Olivia unable to escape the consequences. That afternoon, Michael realized something was wrong. A minor audit revealed discrepancies he could not immediately understand. Olivia scoffed, waving it off as a clerical error, but Emma had anticipated this too. Each error, each question, only tightened the silent noose around their arrogance. Emma monitored every reaction, noting their frustration, arrogance, giving way to panic in small, quiet moments. She thought back to the first days after their betrayal, when she had been dismissed, underestimated, and left powerless. Those memories fueled her, reminding her of the strength she had cultivated in secrecy. By evening, Michael had contacted his legal team in a panic, demanding explanations. Olivia tried to calm him with feigned confidence, but the cracks were growing too large to ignore. Emma, far from the chaos, prepared the next stage. Subtle financial shifts, previously invisible, were now becoming unavoidable. Michael's attempts to manipulate assets only served to reinforce Emma's control. Her revenge was silent but devastating. Meanwhile, Emma allowed herself a brief moment of humanity. She thought of Clara, who had worried over her obsession with precision, and she smiled. "Patience," she whispered. "Justice is never rushed." Azaz buzzed outside her window, completely unaware that a quiet storm of karma was unfolding in the heart of its business districts. That night, Emma reviewed the final moves. She had planted witnesses, encrypted evidence, silent allies throughout Michael's circle, each one ready to expose the truth when the time came. Olivia's overconfidence and Michael's arrogance had created perfect openings. Emma's revenge required no spectacle, no confrontation, just the unassailable truth, quietly delivered in ways that could not be denied or ignored. As she prepared for the next morning, her mind revisited the past once more. She remembered the nights she had wept alone, the isolation and shame imposed by Michael's betrayal. That pain had forged her into a strategist, a patient and meticulous orchestrator of justice. She would not be cruel. She would be precise, measured, and fair, allowing karma to unfold naturally. The following morning, Michael awoke to a series of notices he could neither dismiss nor ignore. Contracts he believed were secure now carried clauses binding him in ways he did not understand. Financial transfers were frozen, and Olivia's careless decisions had accelerated the exposure. Panic surged, but no one had to tell him who was behind it. The invisible hand of justice had spoken. Emma's smile was quiet, almost serene. The work was not just about retribution. It was about balance, the restoration of dignity and power that had once been stripped from her. That evening, she watched as Michael and Olivia struggled to regain control, each move only reinforcing the inevitability of Emma's carefully constructed plan. The silent revenge was working perfectly. The karma she had orchestrated unfolding without violence, without spectacle, but with undeniable impact. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "The arrogance of betrayal always finds its reckoning." The day of reckoning arrived quietly, almost unnoticed by Lagos, but for Michael and Olivia, it would be unforgettable. Emma had orchestrated every detail, every contingency, and now the final pieces were falling into place. She sat in her apartment, a quiet calm settling over her as encrypted messages from David confirmed the last moves were live. Bank accounts were frozen, contracts fully exposed, and witnesses prepared to testify to the hidden truths they had ignored. Michael was pacing in his penthouse, oblivious to the invisible strings guiding his downfall. Olivia tried to soothe him, laughing nervously, but the cracks in their facade were unmistakable. Emma had transformed betrayal into power, heartbreak into precise strategy, and arrogance into vulnerability. The first public sign came in the early afternoon. A trusted journalist, previously contacted subtly by Emma, published a detailed report on the hidden mismanagement in Michael's ventures. The story was factual, undeniable, and devastating. Social media erupted, Michael's reputation unraveling in real time. Olivia's posts went ignored. Sponsors began to withdraw support, questioning her decisions. Emma watched quietly, her hands folded, allowing the storm she had built to take shape naturally. She recalled every insult, every dismissive gesture from Michael. Every moment he flaunted Olivia as though she were superior to Emma. That past fueled her satisfaction. But it was tempered with quiet reflection. Revenge was not meant to be cruel, it was meant to restore balance. That evening, Michael received a call from a senior investor, voice firm, questioning every deal, every decision. Panic surged as the realization hit. He had been outmaneuvered. His empire subtly redirected, all without a single direct confrontation. Olivia's face drained of color, the laughter gone, replaced by shock and confusion. Emma's reputation, once shadowed by their betrayal, now stood unassailable. David sent a final message. "It's done. Everything aligns. Timing perfect." Emma allowed herself a small smile, savoring the quiet victory. She remembered the nights she had cried, the silent anguish, and now felt a deep sense of empowerment. But the twist remained. Michael and Olivia did not understand who had orchestrated their downfall. That revelation would come personally. Emma arranged a discreet meeting at a neutral location, inviting both Michael and Olivia under the guise of reconciliation. Their curiosity overcame caution, a fatal flaw. When they arrived, Emma greeted them calmly, composed, almost serene. Michael's voice trembled slightly. "Emma, what is all this?" She responded with quiet authority. "Everything you thought was yours. Every advantage you assumed was never beyond my reach. You underestimated me." Olivia's hand shook as the truth unfolded. Emma calmly presented the evidence, showing how every careless move, every arrogant gesture, and every betrayal had been quietly catalogued, analyzed, and countered. Michael's face paled. Olivia's bravado crumbled. Karma, precise and undeniable, had arrived. Emma did not raise her voice. She did not shout. The power lay in the quiet revelation, the undeniable truth that had silently dismantled their world. As she stood, eyes steady, Michael's pride shattered, and Olivia's confidence vanished. Emma spoke softly, her words measured. "You chose arrogance. You chose betrayal. I chose patience, strategy, and dignity. You are now seeing the cost of your choices." The weight of her presence, calm yet commanding, left them speechless. No insults, no spectacle, just the undeniable power of silent, meticulous justice. She turned to leave, final words lingering. "Let this be a lesson not for revenge alone, but for the respect you owe to those you underestimate." As Emma walked away, leaving Michael and Olivia to face the consequences of their own choices, a quiet peace settled over her. Lagos lights twinkled below, indifferent to the drama, but the personal victory felt absolute. That night, Emma reflected on the journey, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, the careful plotting. All had led to this moment of quiet triumph. Karma delivered without spectacle, but with maximum impact. She knew the future was hers to shape, free from the shadows of the past. Michael and Olivia's arrogance had blinded them. Emma's patience had ensured that justice, silent and powerful, prevailed.